This winter I've been out on the bank a few times targeting carp. With limited time, I've decided to mainly target waters I know are good for a bite. For me, winter carp fishing is all about trying to get as many bites as possible, and I tend to lean towards the higher stock venues this time of the year. This gives myself the best chance of getting some action, especially on a quick day session. My first trip this winter was at a local lake which I hadn't fished since I was a kid.
It always used to be good for a few fish. There's nothing in it that was too big. It has been recently restocked by the club that has taken it over, so I know there is a good head of fish back in the lake. There was rumours previously that it had been poached and a lot of the stock of fish in here had been depleted, but it's great that the club has taken it over and restocked it. And for me, winter fishing, especially winter carp fishing, is all about going to those lakes that you know potentially you're going to get a bite. I mean, I'm not really interested in going to those lower stock level lakes during the winter. I'd much rather go in and know I've got a good chance of nicking a fish. So that's exactly why I've come to this lake today, and hopefully we can get ourselves a bite. So I've decided to come down this end of the lake today because when I arrived, I had a quick look at the lake, and the wind today is really strong and pushing down that end, and it's a really cold, bitter wind, and I don't imagine the fish, like myself, are going to be down that end of the lake. So that's why I've chose this area. I don't know if you can tell, but the wind, I've got a big tree line here, and as the wind's cutting across, it's creating a nice sort of calm area, which is where I'd imagine most of the fish are holding up. Especially in the colder months anyway. So I've got both rods out. One rod is out towards the overhanging tree out there, and I've got my left hand rod just out in the middle. Now when I arrived, there was a fish that did spook as I was coming into the swim, so I know there's definitely fish in the area, so hopefully we can get ourselves into a fish at some point today. During the winter, there's only two tactics that are predominantly used. One of those being the PVA bag system, the solid PVA bag, or firing out a single hook bait, whether that's a pop-up or a bottom bait. Depends on the lake and depends on what I know has worked there previously in the past for me. Today I've gone for the PVA bags. It's a tactic that worked really well for me at the end of last winter. It's just one of those tactics, you know there's bait round your hook bait, giving that extra attraction for the fish. They're not really feeding this time of the year. They're very lethargic, they're not using much energy, so you're trying to really almost get a bite out of curiosity from the carp. Now what I would do in my PVA bag system, I use 2mm pellets and just my hook bait and my lead. It's as simple as that. There's no other special ground bait or anything like that I put in my bags. It's literally just pellets and my hook bait. Now my hook bait is a banana nut spice white, high-vis white pop-up from Core Baits. It's a bait that last winter served me really well, and it has already got me a few bites this winter as well. Now when I'm fishing just a single Ronnie rig or a single hook bait, I tend to use that on a Ronnie rig if I'm using the pop-up. And what I'm looking for then is if I'm trying to find the fish, so I'll have a cast every sort of hour, just trying to find and locate where the fish are. Usually you'll find them in tight groups this time of the year and not, like I say, not really moving, so it's really key in winter to try and find those fish. So like for example today, I've had the baits out now probably an hour and a half. It's probably a little bit longer than I would normally leave them, but I'll probably bring them in and then recast them to see if I can locate where the fish are and try and nick myself a bite like that. But they're the two main tactics that I'll use, and they've caught me a lot of fish in the past, so I have a lot of confidence in them during the colder months.
The rain came down pretty hard that afternoon, and I decided to make a change to one of my rods.
So I've just changed my left-hand rod over to a Ronnie rig. I've just had a feeling that on that first cast that the PVA bag has just plummeted straight into the silt. After I initially done the cast, I could see a few bubbles rise up from the bottom, and also I've just had to give it a bit of a tug to get it out of the bottom. So it's just literally just sucked into that silt. So I changed over to a Ronnie rig with a lead clip. So hopefully the lead goes in, but the rig should still be fishing on top, and put it on some semi-stiff braid with about a 10-inch sort of boom. So hopefully that'll mean it's still fishing as opposed to being stuck on whatever debris on the bottom. Now the rain has well and truly set in, so I'm hoping that the fish will be it might turn the fish on for a bit of a feed. So fingers crossed we can get ourselves a fish.
Unfortunately, this trip resulted in a blank, but it wasn't long before I was out again targeting a winter carp.
I'm fishing here with Joe. He's just down the bank from me, just a couple of swims down to my left, and we've decided to come to Tobber Manor and give Wad Mill a bash for a winter carp.
We'd only been set up for an hour, and as usual, Joe was already into the first fish of the day.
So Joe's just slipped back that lovely little mirror. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come for the afternoon.
It wasn't long before Joe was into yet another carp using solid PVA bags. Joe was having a cracking session so far, landing multiple carp. We were both using the same tactics, a Ronnie rig with a small white pop-up on one rod and solid PVA bags with a small white pop-up on the other.
There we go, nice common. £15, 6 ounces. Very welcome on a cold winter's day. And it's bloody freezing as well. Did you get that?
I think so. Some of it.
Well, that bite just came out of absolutely nowhere. I was just down the bank talking to Joe, having a bit of a chin wag, in my left-hand rod burst into life. We've been seeing some fish patrolling the far margins for the past couple of hours. So it was just out of hindsight that I chucked out a single on a Ronnie rig with a banana nut spice white pop-up, and about an hour later it's done the business. So what an absolute result in the winter as well, and the fish was absolutely freezing. You can tell that the water temperature's dropped quite a lot now. We are going into the end of December, so just getting the one bite I was actually thankful for. So I'm hoping we might be able to get into enough of fish later on in the afternoon. I have got the lure gear as well with me. I'm hoping if the weather holds off that I will bring out the lure rod, even if we don't get fish. It's just nice to get out and about and chuck the lure, see if we can tempt a pike. Got some shad teasers to try out, the western shad teasers, so that'll be good. But anyway, I'm going to make a brew and sit down and watch the game of footy. No luck with the lure rod. I'm going to get back to the swim, chuck out the cart rods again. Hopefully we can get ourselves a carp. The rain is meant to come in quite heavy now, so it's a case of sitting under the brolly and hoping we get enough fish. The rain's coming pretty bad the last couple of hours or so, so me and Joe are going to make full advantage of this little break and start to pack the gear up. And I think that's going to be the end of today's session, but hopefully I'll be back out soon catching some more winter carp.